And I guess the overriding guidance I would give is from a creative perspective, being on the platform is different than being on Meta or Google or some of the others. And I spent 10 years at Meta.
Yeah.
You can't just take that concept and drop it onto TikTok. You can take TikTok and drop it onto those in many cases, but it's really, really difficult to do it the other way. And so understanding what authenticity looks like.
Welcome, Blake. Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. Where do you want me?
Just a few of your friends here.
Excellent. Excellent.
The question is, will somebody make a TikTok about
the TikTok.
About your talk today?
We'll see.
So, yeah, welcome to Hamburg. You're part of pretty much a very blockbuster afternoon here.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch.
The finance minister opened up for you.
It was amazing. It was fascinating.
So, just first a little bit about yourself, Blake. So you've been with TikTok now for 5 years.
5 years.
A wild rocket ship ride, of course.
It's been an amazing journey.
What first attracted you to the company? And how have you seen the company evolve during that time?
Yeah, I guess personally, I really enjoy this kind of moment in time when there's this intersection between technology, consumer, and this changing culture. And so, whether it be back 20 years ago with Google and search, 10 years ago, well, 15 years ago now with Facebook at the time, where I was early, and then around 5 years ago, TikTok started to emerge as a platform, both from a user perspective, as well as just a cultural moment, watching what brands were doing in music and entertainment, and how it was shifting dramatically, and how this next generation was adopting that as their platform of choice. And so when you see those kind of things come together and the kind of numbers we were seeing, I really want to be part of that growth.
Yeah, it's interesting, related to Google. Yesterday in the keynote address, this morning in the keynote address, it seems like yesterday already, for the state of the German internet, our team was talking about the big opportunity now what they see with TikTok search, with TikTok SEO. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when you think about the user experience on TikTok, when people enter into the platform, increasingly what we're seeing is the first thing they're doing is searching, right? So it's a discovery engine. And it used to be people would passively discover things in the feed, in their For You feed, and they discover brands or travel destinations or restaurants, whatever it might be. And increasingly we're seeing the first thing they do when they open is to go search for those kinds of things. And so this next generation, especially on a mobile platform, increasingly we're seeing the share shift from a search perspective. Now, what we do with that behavior and how it manifests on TikTok will be different than Google, right? It's a different experience, different expectations, and so we're doing a lot of testing right now from a user perspective, as well as from an advertiser or a monetization perspective. So, there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it seems like a potential opportunity for more niche content producers to potentially break through when, there's already people with millions of followers. So how do you connect with people looking for a very specific topic?
Yeah, that's the beauty of the platform, though, because the algorithm is not driven, unlike some of the other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram and others. Like the platform algorithm is not driven by who you're connected to. It's driven by your interests, right? It's really an interest graph. And so as people discover different things in the platform, we get to know them a little bit and understand what they might want to find. And then we also take occasionally a moment to suggest some other stuff that they might not have known that they were interested in. And so maybe from personal experience you've had that happen. But it's a different experience, and we think that people are discovering amazing content and creators and artists and everything else.
Yeah, and to that point, I was very interested to hear that you view, everyone calls it a social network, but you view it more as an entertainment platform.
That's correct.
Which also, Scott Galloway sees it as a clear competitor to Netflix and other media platforms. It'd be great if you could share more about that.
Listen, I think people have a certain amount of time in a day where they can consume content, right? Historically, that content has been linear television or more recently some of the streaming services, but it's long-form content. In the last 5 years, we've seen a huge migration towards short-form content, right? And so people are spending a disproportionate amount of time on the platform, depending on who they are. And so in that sense, we're all just competing for time, right? I don't think, I would argue we're not intentionally going out and saying we're competing against a Netflix or some others. We think that people are just going to consume content in different environments in different ways. So.
You're giving the people what they want.
Well, I mean, and we do experiment with different forms. So we're experimenting now with some longer form content. It used to be very, explicitly short form, meaning 15-second, 30-second, and now we're seeing longer content and different kinds of content. So the kind of content, the how-to content, if someone's getting ready to go out, how do I get dressed? How do I use my makeup? How do I travel better, quicker, or more efficiently? So that takes it's longer form in its purest sense. And also we're working with a lot of the big, premium premium programmers, such as sports teams, sports networks, to bring different kinds of content in that sense. So you don't have to go to a different player. You can see highlights of your favorite teams right in your feed. We're testing all of this right now.
And since we're talking a little bit about the product and what's available, I have to ask, because I know a lot of people here in Germany are very interested of when will TikTok Shop potentially be available here? I think there's a lot of interest for e-commerce, reducing that friction for retailers and creators.
It's a great question. Listen, we have lots of tools for e-commerce today in the business. So we look at e-commerce in two different ways. One, there's open capabilities. So using some of our current capabilities to drive people traffic to your own website or to Shopify or to wherever you might be hosting a marketplace or a store, right? And those tools exist today, and they're really, really powerful. The other side of it is more of a closed platform, which is what you're referencing with TikTok Shops.
Yeah. And
so we have shops in Southeast Asia, UK. We launched in the US in the fall of last year. And that experience it's very similar to the others, except for a lot of it stays within the platform, the experience itself. I can't tell you when it's coming. We're looking at different markets, and we're rolling it out as we learn over time. And certainly Europe is a market that we think can be really, really strong.
In time for Christmas?
I would hope so.
But certainly, in general, the platform has driven a lot of e-commerce, even without the shop. There's, TikTok made me buy it. Have you guys quantified? I mean, I think you've probably fueled business, beauty industries, and a lot of transactions happening because of the platform. Yeah, it's been amazing to watch. The TikTok made me buy it phenom is real. We see it everywhere in the world where brands will go viral on the platform and they'll sell out of on shelves or wherever they might be. I think that if we think about it really intentionally, when brands get discovered on the platform and we can make it easy for them to be purchased in the same experience at the same moment in time, that just adds efficiencies in terms of the brands themselves, the users, because they want that experience to discover and buy quickly. There are different categories where it works really well. There are other categories where you sometimes go off platform to do that purchase. In terms of the actual influence, we've got lots of case studies for different brands that show exactly what we've done. But a great example in the German market is BookTok. I think it was referenced earlier, actually. And BookTok is a real phenom where books that haven't been published in decades are all of a sudden coming back up on bestseller lists because they're being discovered on the platform, right? Authors that are rediscovering themselves as well as finding new authors. And in Germany, we actually created a bestseller list off of BookTok. It's the only market that we did it in. And we sold 12 million books off of that alone. And so it just shows the power of the platform if you're being really intentional about that. So e-commerce, though, also touches upon a topic you guys have been dealing with a lot lately, under a lot of pressure related to data and privacy. I saw that you just recently kind of filed a lawsuit in the US yesterday to counter the recent law that was signed. Yeah. Can you bring us up to speed? What is the latest? How are you thinking about what's happening in the US? And then talk about Europe also.
And we can translate over to Europe because I think it's meaningful for this audience. So, I really want to start by saying we've spent the last 5 years building a really trusted environment. for our creators, for our users, for our brands, to be able to express themselves very freely in the platform, right? And we put a lot of provisions and security around that. Now, what happened in the US was there was a law passed and signed a couple weeks ago that would force divestiture of TikTok from ByteDance. In essence, we believe it's unconstitutional and it is a ban. Like the way it's written, the only way to get out of it is a ban. And so we committed to fight that, and we filed, to your point yesterday, a petition with the US courts to repeal that. And so there will now be a long, drawn-out legal process, which will take time, right, as both sides form their legal opinions, and it goes for the court system in the US. And we're committed to that, and we think the law is on our side. We believe that we've done the right thing, that we've got the right security in place to protect US user data. We spent the last 2 years, and we spent a couple $1 billion building an infrastructure with Oracle and with a group called US Data Services under a project called Project Texas in the US, which is designed to encapsulate US user data, as well as the algorithms that serve the For You feed, all within a trusted environment, i.e. Oracle. And they have full audit capabilities, full access to all of that. And that data cannot leave the US at this point. So we feel like we've created a technical and an oversight process that satisfies the needs of most. And we'll see in the court of law whether that's true. Now, that also correlates to what we're doing in Europe, right, which is really important to this audience, which is we created a project called Project Clover. And Project Clover is designed to really keep all European user data in Europe, in the EU. Because in a lot of cases, that data sits in the US or it sits in Singapore or different places. We believe that all European data should sit in the European Union. And so we've created Project Clover along with a cybersecurity organization, a really well-known one called NCC. They're our partner in this. So there'll be all the oversight, all the guidance, the process driven by them. And so we're taking all European user data and migrating it into Europe. We started the migration with a data center in Dublin. We've got 2 more data centers coming online, Norway later this year, and then another in Dublin, with the intention of keeping and protecting all European data in the European Union, which is really unprecedented. We're getting ahead of this because we think it's important.
And I'm curious, when you have these data centers, is there any kind of government oversight or involvement to kind of verify the data flows and things like that?
No, NCC does that. They're well-known, well-respected. They work with a lot of the governments. They're very well-respected cybersecurity, and they are our partner in this. We obviously are very transparent with everything that we're doing with all the different governing bodies. We think it's important to bring regulators along in this journey versus doing it. We believe transparency is key, right? So we're bringing them along that journey and just being really clear about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
And just one more question. What do you think about the people who say, well, TikTok should be considered a media concern because it provides so much news and information, and then there are national laws, saying that you have to be kind of a national company to be a media concern?
I think that there's a lot of different content on our platform. We talked about it earlier. What started out 5 years ago when I joined, it was a very small company, and it was really coming out of our Musical.ly days, and it was lip syncing and dancing, right? And the content diversity now on the platform is really wide. It's really wide and distributed. And it's not only younger audiences; it's all audiences at this point. And so, as we continue to see that diversity of content, understanding what that means, whether it be travel, sport, or people having opinions on news and different things going on, I think that we need to be really clear that we put the right regulation, we protect people from a user perspective, we have the right kind of moderation and integrity work going on to protect people from misinformation, especially with election cycles coming up in 24. Half the world's population is is voting this year. It's almost unprecedented, right?
Yeah.
And so making sure that we have the right kind of election centers in place, working with local authorities and experts on what should be in those election centers, making sure that we have literacy within our users of what to look for, and then making sure that the right kind of content, including all the fact checking, is in place, so that people have confidence that what they're seeing on TikTok is real.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of concern and preparation for the big election in the U.S.
Well, it's all over. It's not just the U.S. is obviously the one that a lot of people look towards, but there are 2 billion people from here to the end of the year are going to go to the booths to vote for their leadership.
Yep. So for those in our audience maybe who are already promoting their brands on TikTok or they're creators themselves, do you have any particular insights for them about strategies that you have seen been working particularly well, especially here in Europe? Or any brands that you want to call out that you think have, are good case studies, good role models for people to take a look at?
Yeah, listen, we deal with brands, everything from the small businesses, and we have millions of small businesses and creators on the platform, and for all of the, if there are any in the room, I just want to say a huge thank you for working and putting your future in our hands, all the way through the biggest brands in the world, whether it be Unilever and or Peloton, Ergon here in Germany, an insurance brand, which is doing amazing work, actually, from an insurance perspective. The Peloton did some really fascinating work around the fitness space. Unilever with a thing called Clean Talk. Like, what are people expecting? They don't want to feel shouted at, right? They want to be entertained, they want to be amused, they want to be informed and educated. And so taking that content, taking that concept to heart sometimes means leverage creator community. Right? Find amazing creators that you can work with to bring your brand to life in a way that has authenticity in the platform. Understand what your role is in that ecosystem. The feedback we get from users is that when brands do it right, it's not advertising, right? It's part of their content experience, and they will watch it through, and they'll watch it over and over again, right? So it's not something they're trying to skip or get away from. It's something that they find value in. I mean, Unilever did a great job with there was a hashtag. It's a crazy hashtag called Clean Talk.
Yeah.
Right? Clean, like you clean. And it's all about cleaning of your home, right? So like there's a massive community, billions and billions of views of this
hashtag. Educating millennials how to clean up.
How to clean and how to fold clothes. But it's done in a really fun, unique way.
Yeah.
And so what we did together with Unilever is we actually built a campaign with their brands to embrace that and bring it to life in the real world. And so it became part of their overall brand strategy. And it's just, one, it took them thinking a little bit differently about media and presence on one of these platforms. And two, it really leveraged the authenticity of the behavior already taking place in the platform to bring their brands to life. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, terrific example. Just want to check in with our bar guests over there, see if you guys have a question.
Yes, thank you. You worked for Meta before, for Facebook.
Yeah.
And Mark Zuckerberg once said, if we don't create the thing that will kill Facebook, someone else will. Do you think the same way? Do you already think about a thing that could kill TikTok?
That's a great question. And I remember those days back in the day, right? And Meta does an excellent job of defending its users and so on. And they've done some interesting work with Reels and with different areas and stories and so on and so forth. So as user behaviors change, they've changed, right? We view it the same way. We don't necessarily look at our competitors, so we're not looking at what Meta or Google or some of the, but we look at what are users doing, how is their expectation of our platform changing, whether it be the search example we talked about before. As people start to search more on the platform as their first thing they come in and do, how do we make sure we enhance our search capabilities to capture that demand or that behavioral change that we're seeing? Same thing with commerce. So we'll continue to adapt the platform to our users' needs and behaviors. So we stay focused on that. Yeah, good question, though.
And an additional question, I'm an author, and I'm already writing my next book, and I want to use the book talk trend. So who's the creator I have to follow, or what can I do as an author to use the book talk trend?
I can follow up with you separately on that. I think book talk is one of the most interesting phenoms that's happened on the platform in probably the last couple of years. And it's something that we're really proud of, because in terms of literacy and getting younger, the next generation to read more, it's had a profound impact. So.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Michael Troutman. And thank you, Blake.
Thank you, Adi.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much.
it. Yeah,
good to have you.
Thanks all. Thank you.